Hello everyone, welcome to Options with Doug, streaming live daily on Bookmap Discord and the Bookmap YouTube channel at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Before I get started, I need to go through the disclosures. General disclosure: all Bookmap Ltd materials, information, and presentations are for educational purposes only and should not be considered specific investment advice nor recommendations. Risk disclosure: trading futures, equities, and options involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Here's my contact information. The best way to get in touch with me is through Discord. My name on Discord is Doug P. Also in Bookmap Discord, there's an Options-Doug chat channel. That's a great place to post questions, comments, and content related to the topics of my presentation and the topics of the channel, which I'll go through in just a moment. I'm also on X, formerly known as Twitter, and my name there is at Doug Pless. The focus of my presentation today and the focus of the Options-Doug chat channel is options order flow, the impact of options markets on stocks and futures, and the influence of market maker hedging flow on price action. I have a two-step process for trading, and the first is planning, and I use positional analysis. I look at how traders and market makers are positioned in the options market and how those positions change from day to day to develop a thesis regarding the expected trading range and volatility for the day, as well as a directional bias. And the second step of my process is execution. Now I look at real-time order flow in Bookmap and real-time market maker hedging flow in Spotgamma Hero to confirm my thesis and for setups for entries and exits. And when I talk about setups today, I will be talking about an underlying asset. And setups can be taken any number of ways. For example, the S&P 500 setups can be taken with ES futures, SPY shares, SPY options, SPX options, or even ES options. Questions and comments are welcome, and I will be watching both the Options-Doug chat channel and Discord, as well as the chat and YouTube for your questions and comments. Please feel free to post, and I'll do my best to answer your questions. And hello, Don. Welcome. Glad you're here. And Gray, good afternoon to you as well. Welcome. Glad you're here. Very interesting day all the way around, and we'll go over it. So here's my agenda for today. First of all, today is Wednesday, November 1st. It's the FOMC announcement day. So what I'm going to cover today, first of all, news items, economic data, events, and earnings for today and the rest of the week. And then I'll go through my positional analysis. And then time permitting, I will review setups from this morning. That depends on the how far I get before the FOMC announcement. I'll stop whatever I'm doing just before 2 p.m. and we'll watch the live market. All right, let's get to the news items for today. There was quite a bit of news this morning that was definitely market moving. So first of all, the ADP report came out at 8:15 a.m. Eastern Time, and that came in a little bit less than forecast but greater than previous. And this, as far as I know, was unannounced. Of course, ADP and other economic data reports typically are known. This was quite a market mover, and I think it was what sparked the rally today. This was at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. This headline: Treasury details plans to step up size of bond sales to manage growing debt load and higher rates. So this is from Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen. Here's the details if you're interested. But that was the headline that we just looked at. So let's take a look at Bookmap. and we'll see what happened at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. A very bullish response to that news right at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time, and that sparked the rally, and we'll see where that rally ended in just a few minutes. All right, so that was the news at 8:30. Let's also take a look at the a chart of the 10-year. So this is the 10-year Treasury rate, and really the 10-year Treasury futures. So here's this dark area is the regular trading hours open. Treasuries open at 8:15 a.m. Eastern Time. Here's the news at 8:30. Treasuries drop sharply, and then they start to reverse higher, kind of playing that part in the reversal lower in the S&P 500 about that same time. But this was definitely, there's been an inverse relationship between Treasury yields and the equity market, definitely helping to drive that higher on that news. Let's also take a look at, so we've seen Treasury yields now. Let's go to VIX on this chart. I'll talk about this in a few minutes. All right, so that was the big market mover this morning, driving that move higher starting at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Same situation in NASDAQ. Note the launching point here, the 350 volatility trigger. That was in play yesterday. I posted something in Discord about that. That's the QQQ 350 volatility trigger. And also I forgot to point out the launching point for the move higher this morning, the SPY 417 volatility trigger, also in play yesterday. All right, let's wrap up the news now. Excuse me. So at 9:45, there was some manufacturing PMI data that came in just right at 50. That was equal to expected and previous. Also at 10 a.m., more manufacturing PMI data came out less than expected and also less than previous. JOLTS report greater than expected, less than previous. And then, of course, the big event for today and for the week is the FOMC announcement and press conference. Let's see what the market is expecting. This is the CME Fed Watch tool. Note the current target rate, 525 to 550 basis points. That's shown right here. There's almost a 99% chance of no rate change. Earlier today, there was a slight, maybe less than 1% chance of a rate increase. That has changed right now. So we can refresh this to get the one last look. So now it has changed again. So again, the current rate, 525 to 550 basis points. A little over a 99% chance of no change, and then just less than 1% chance of a 25 basis point increase. All right, so that's what the market is expecting, and they will be clued in on, or they will be focusing on the announcement and the press conference, what Jerome Powell has to say. All right, so for the rest of the week, very quickly, Apple reports earnings after the market closes. Friday, 8:30 a.m. jobs report. That's the October jobs report, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. And then there's more PMI data at 10 a.m. All right, so that wraps up the news for the week. Now let's take a look at positional analysis. And we can see the We'll first take a look at the levels in play for today. So again, this is the ES Futures and Bookmap, and I'm going to take a look at a larger time frame before I take a closer look at that chart. So this is the S&P 500 SPX index in a 30-day 1-hour chart. Let me point out the key turning points. This is the jobs report for September. That was October 6th. Gamma squeeze that eventually rolled over due to treasury yields and geopolitical events. This was the October 20th very negative gamma put dominated expiration. The expectation was for a put vanna rally, and that really did not play out, again due to the treasury yields and geopolitical events. And then this is the rally that began on Monday, and that was really that's where the put vanna rally came in with a, let's go back and take a look at the VIX chart now. So this is Friday, and then the rally began with a gap up on Monday. So let's go take a look at VIX now. Go back to our VIX chart. Let's zoom in. So this is Friday. Traders were buying puts, loading up on puts, concerned about weekend risk. And then that drop in VIX began and has really continued until about 11 a.m. this morning. And then traders could be doing final positioning before the FOMC announcement. So that was what was driving the rally starting on Monday. Put vanna rally as price increases, implied volatility drops. When traders are long puts, market makers are short puts. Those puts start to lose value, their delta notional decreases, and they can buy back short futures. And that drop in VIX is definitely a tailwind for equities, helping to drive price higher since Monday. All right, so let me point out some levels on this chart. First of all, the dashed purple lines, and you really can't see it here. It's right at 4,200, the upper weekly expected move, right at 4,200, and the lower weekly expected move down below at 40.37. So that is the weekly expected move. That's based on the options market. Right now, SPX is trading above the upper weekly expected move. Then the dashed blue lines are showing the lower and upper daily expected move. That happened to be the resistance for today so far. That's where the rally stopped as VIX started to rise. The treasury yields started to rise again, and price found resistance at that level. We'll take a closer look in just a moment. Let me point out the Spotgamma levels on this chart. These are proprietary Spotgamma levels based on gamma weighted open interest available to Spotgamma subscribers. Very important in my analysis. I'm going to point out the key daily levels. First of all, here's the 4,000 level. That's the absolute gamma strike. That's a strike with the largest absolute positive and negative gamma. So that's where the most gamma weighted open interest is concentrated. The next level up is 4,200. That's the volatility trigger. That is Spotgamma's proprietary gamma flip level. Below that level, market makers' position on the gamma curve is negative. In a negative gamma environment, they have to trade with price to hedge their delta exposure, and that tends to enhance or increase volatility. On the other hand, above that level, like SPX is trading now, market makers' position on the gamma curve is positive. In a positive gamma environment, market makers have to trade against price to hedge their delta exposure, and that tends to decrease or subdue volatility. And note that volatility trigger has been dropping lower for the last couple of days, and it did drop lower from yesterday to today. All right, the next level up, oh, and I forgot to mention the put wall, a very important level at 4,100. That's the strike with the largest net negative gamma that can be expected to act as support, and it definitely acted as support last Friday. SPX closed just above the put wall on Friday, last Friday. Very important level, definitely has been in play. And then finally the call wall. Oops, I shouldn't have done that. So absolute gamma strike, put wall at 4,100, volatility trigger at 4,200, and then the call wall at 4,400. The call wall strike with the largest net positive gamma that can be expected to act as resistance. And note that level did drop from yesterday. So the call wall has been steadily dropping for the last 3 days, from 4,800 to 4,600 to 4,500 to today 4,400. Still out of play, but that call wall, the potential ceiling for price, has been moving lower, and the put wall has held steady at 4,100. All right, so those are the key daily levels. Let's take a closer look at the SPX for today to see the levels in play. So here's SPX for today in this right portion of the chart. In the dark area just to the right, I wanted to show this is the rally that began on Monday. This is Tuesday, and this is today. So far, resistance today at the upper daily expected move, just below it. The upper daily expected move is 4230.8, and SPX reversed lower just about 1.5 points below that level. All right, let's take a look at Bookmap now. All right, Bookmap, I have my own cloud notes. So I'm showing SPX levels. There's the 4,200 volatility trigger. I'm also showing SPY levels. So SPY, here's that 417 volatility trigger that I pointed out before. That was, again, a key level yesterday, acting as resistance, then support. And today is kind of a launching point for the rally higher after the 8:30 a.m. news. The rally continued up until it reached the upper daily expected move for SPX. And at that point, we'll see in just a moment when we take a look at options trades that options traders started taking negative delta positions as price was approaching that level. And we can also see the shift in order flow. A lot of aggressive sellers coming in, as well as all this liquidity in the heat map. Limit sell orders up at that level from SPY 422 below. So again, I have SPX levels on this chart, SPY levels. Spotgamma levels are with white background, red text, white lines. This is the upper daily expected move for ES. It's a little bit different than SPX. I put more weight on SPX. All right, so let's take a look at NASDAQ now. Got about 10 minutes left before the announcement. Give me just a moment here. I'm going to open up CNBC on another computer so I can watch the news. All right, so NASDAQ, let's talk about levels. Again, the launching point for the move higher, the 350 level volatility trigger. That's also the absolute gamma strike for QQQ. All right, so speaking of QQQ, let's take a look at a QQQ chart. There's that 350 level volatility trigger, absolute gamma strike. Launching point for the move higher. And then resistance around the 355 level. Now the QQQ consolidating, waiting for the announcement. Traders waiting for the announcement. All right, let's take a look at NDX, then we'll go to the QQQ chart. So really the only NDX level in play for today is the volatility trigger, 14,525. All right, shifts in levels. Let me cover the S&P 500. I forgot to wrap that up. So for SPX, 4,200 is the volatility trigger. That did shift lower. The call wall also shifted lower. And for SPY, the call wall also shifted lower to kind of an odd number at 423, and the absolute gamma strike shifted higher to 420. So that shift higher in the absolute gamma strike for SPY is bullish. All right, for the NASDAQ, there were no shifts in levels for QQQ or NDX. All stayed the same from yesterday. All right, so again, NQ futures, launching point 350, finding resistance just below the QQQ 355 level, and the NQ 650 level. And note that earlier today the NQ did trade above its upper daily expected move. So just like the S&P 500 ES, I have my own cloud notes so I can show NDX levels. There's the 14,525 volatility trigger. There's the 350 QQQ 350 volatility trigger, absolute gamma strike. Then I also have the big round numbers, the zeros and 50s for NQ. So right now, NQ trading just below its upper daily expected move and above its upper weekly expected move. Well, let's take a look at gamma notional to see how market makers were positioned on the gamma curve at the beginning of the day. This is gamma notional for SPX, SPY, NDX, QQQ, RUT, and IWM. All right, note all of these numbers are negative. The numbers that I look at, I really don't look at NDX. It's not significant. So focus on SPX and SPY for the S&P 500, both negative, but less negative than yesterday. So this means that in a negative gamma environment, traders are long puts, market makers are short puts, and they have to trade with price to hedge their delta exposure. QQQ also negative, less negative than yesterday, and then also for the Russell 2000. Both still negative, but less negative than yesterday. So let's take a quick look and see what that means. This is the Vanna model for SPX. What this chart is showing is market makers delta notional, delta exposure on the vertical axis and price on the horizontal axis. There are two curves on this chart. The first, the light gray curve, that shows how market makers delta notional changes with changes in price only. And the purple curve adds implied volatility to the equation. That shows how market makers delta notional changes with changes in price and applied volatility, and that change in delta with a change in applied volatility is the Vanna effect. All right, let's take a look at some prices now. So first of all, SPX, low of the day, right around 41.98. So pretty close to the bottom of the curve here. So, but there was a slight Vanna tailwind this morning. We know that VIX was dropping. And also, as VIX was dropping, price increasing, market makers' delta notional was decreasing. So price increasing, delta notional decreasing, market makers could buy back short futures. So that helps to somewhat fuel a rally higher. All right, let's take a look and see what I'm going to go ahead and skip over SPY and QQQ, similar charts. Let's see what options traders have been doing today. So I'm going to go to the hero signal. This is hedging impact real-time options. It's available from Spotgamma for Spotgamma subscribers. What this chart is showing is the hero signal, hedging impact real-time options, and price for SPX. This is showing, the hero signal is showing options trades and hedging impact for a combined signal for SPX, SPY, XSP, and ES futures. Let's zoom in on this chart. So we know in the morning that news came out at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. VIX was dropping, Treasury yields dropping. Price launched at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. It took a while for the options traders to start participating. Started around 9:45, 9:50, something like that. All right, the more clear setup really was the short as price moved up toward the SPX upper daily expected move. As price was moving higher, options traders started taking negative delta positions. All right, let's just see what and then they started to turn that around 12:30. So far, price not responding. So let's just see, take a closer look, slice and dice this, see what traders are doing. The rising orange line shows that traders are buying calls today. That notional value is 3.2 billion. They're also buying puts. It's very typical of an index. It looks like that activity pretty much stopped right around 12:20, leveled off. Notional value minus 1.86 billion. So they have stopped buying puts, continue to buy calls. All right, let's separate this. Let's go back. All right, so net for the day, this notional value is positive. All right, let's take a quick look at NASDAQ. So much stronger correlation to price today. Traders taking positive delta positions. This is a combined signal for NDX QQQ. All right, let's go back. Let's go to Bookmap now. We've got about 30 seconds before the announcement. Go back to ES. Again, remember the expectation is for the FOMC to hold rates steady. No increase, no decrease. Okay, 2 p.m. the announcement is out. Usually there are multiple reactions up and down. Often the first reaction is not the correct reaction, not the final reaction. So far slightly bullish. And let me just check something here. All right, so the interest rate decision unchanged. Unchanged as expected. So now the algos will be parsing the announcement for any changes. Zoom in on this a bit. Let's see what options traders are doing. Go back to Hero. I'm going to change the look back period. So let's go to a shorter look back period. So we're just looking at the last 30 minutes of data. So far a bullish reaction from options traders. Price moving the opposite direction. Go back to Bookmap. All right, so rates unchanged, algos parsing the statement. Let's go back and check on options traders. Still taking positive delta positions. Buying calls, continuing to buy calls. Let's take a quick look at VIX. All right, VIX starting to drop. Let's just change the time frame on this. Take a closer look at what VIX is doing. Go back to a 1-minute chart. All right, so it looks so far that this 4210 level, this is SPX 4210, noted as resistance in the Spotgamma AM Founders Note, acted as resistance for the initial move. Now this could go on for quite a while up and down until the final move is resolved. So right now, ES trading right around this SPY 420 absolute gamma strike. That is the new absolute gamma strike. And Zula, sorry I missed your good afternoon before. So good afternoon to you. Welcome. Glad you're here. All right, let's go back and check with Hero, see what options traders are doing. So since about 145, Hero continues to trend higher. Let's check a couple of other symbols. Let's check NASDAQ. Somewhat flat. Let's see what they're doing in the Magnificent Seven. So this is a combined signal combining the hero signals for these 7 stocks: Apple, Amazon, Google, Meta, Microsoft, Nvidia, Tesla. Great new hero indicator from Spotgamma. So it looks like traders are taking positive delta positions. That started a few minutes before the announcement. Go back to the S&P 500. Also continues to move higher. Let's go back to Bookmap. Let's take a look at NASDAQ. All right, so I'm reading some of the headlines on CNBC. Tighter financial and credit conditions may weigh on economy. Of course, the rate's unchanged. Pretty subdued or muted reaction so far. NASDAQ starting to move lower. S&P 500 stuck around the 420 absolute gamma strike. The Fed decision was unanimous. Fed still determining the extent of additional policy firming. So still data dependent. Committee remains highly attentive to inflation risk. All right, you guys let me know what you want to do. Do you want to continue to watch this? This is pretty muted reaction, or we can take a look at some stocks. I'm inclined to take a look at some stocks. So that's what I'm going to do unless anyone objects. All right, so let's take a look at what I wanted to do from this morning. Let's go back to Hero. Yeah, of course, gray, I'll come back to the ES. So let's take a look at some stocks. And what I did this morning is I ranked bullish day. I ranked my Hero watch list by hero signal from strongest to weakest. So that's this right here. And here is, these are ES futures, for example. This is the hero signal. The slider, that's showing the extent of the slider, that's showing the strength of the hero signal by the dot. The dot is the strength of the hero signal today, comparing it with the last 30 days. That's the entire length of the slider. and then the colored portion is showing the last 5 days. So this is showing, just for example, for ES futures, that the hero signal at the time I ranked this was the strongest that it has been in the last 5 days and last 30 days. So what I did, I ranked that by hero signal. Then I started with stocks. The first one on the list, NVIDIA. Let's zoom in on NVIDIA. Very strong correlation between hedging flow and price action today. Let's just separate. Oh, I'm going to go back to the 1-day signal. So NVIDIA traders were buying calls and selling puts, shown by the rising orange line, rising blue line, taking positive delta positions. Note the flow alert. No gamma levels, no spot gamma levels in play, and this is a pretty typical pattern. In fact, a very typical pattern is in the morning up until somewhere between 11 and maybe 1 p.m. Options traders put their foot on the gas. Again, in this case, buying calls, selling puts. That activity stops and price consolidates or moves lower. Very typical pattern. Strong options activity in the morning, then levels off and price responds. Let's go take a look at Bookmap. Go to NVIDIA, and no movement there in the S&P 500. So there's the move higher in NVIDIA this morning. Finally finds resistance, buyer exhaustion at the 420 level, that liquidity at that level. The heat map is showing rest at limit orders in the order book. Let me tone down the heat map just a little bit. I mean the volume dots just a little bit, and then the aggressive sellers start to come in. You can see by the magenta volume dots, sorry about that, magenta volume dots. The volume dots are showing market buy minus sell. Green dots showing more buyers than sellers. Magenta dot showing more sellers than buyers. So nice strong rally for NVIDIA this morning. Traders again selling puts and buying calls. Let's go to Microsoft. And then let's go back to the hero list. And actually AMD is higher up on the list now. I just go to Microsoft. Very similar pattern. In this case, here's the call wall, 345 call wall, and that options activity leveled off right around that level. Microsoft did overshoot that level. Here's the call wall right here. That line may be difficult to see, that light blue line. But options traders started to take their foot off the gas. They're still slightly taking positive delta positions, but as price moved up to that 345 call wall, they eased off. Let's see what they're doing. So mainly buying calls today. Call buyers driving price higher. In Microsoft, when traders buy calls, market makers sell the calls, and they have to buy stock to hedge their delta exposure. Remember, more market makers always want to remain delta neutral. All right, so that's Microsoft, another bullish setup with the typical pattern of the consolidation leveling off between 11 and 1, something like that. Right, the next was AMD. That was actually now on the list ahead of Microsoft. Remember, AMD reported earnings after the close yesterday. The initial reaction was bearish, but then today AMD started to rally. Note the Spotgamma levels. There's the 100 key gamma strike acting as support, 105 call wall, and right now AMD trading above that level. Let's see what traders are doing. So in AMD, they are selling puts and buying calls, shown by the rising blue line, rising orange line. Let's go take a look at Bookmap. AMD. Here's the 105 call wall. Oops. The 105 call wall and the 100 key gamma strike. And AMD continues to grind higher. All right, those are the stocks that I wanted to take a look at this morning. If anyone has any other stocks they want me to take a look at, I'll be glad to do that. Let's go back and check on the S&P 500. Now trading slightly below that 420 absolute gamma strike. Very muted reaction so far to the announcement. So really not much new information. Let's take a look at NASDAQ. Right now, NASDAQ making a series of lower highs. Let's check on options traders. And remember, we're on the full one-day look-back period. Traders continue to take positive delta positions. Take a look at the NASDAQ signal. Let's take a look at QQQ. Pretty similar to the total signal for NASDAQ. Really, the hero signal for the NASDAQ has leveled off since about 10:30. Let's take a look at the Magnificent Seven. Similar picture. Leveled off around 11 a.m. Let's see what traders are doing in Apple options. Remember, Apple reports earnings after the market closes, and they're taking negative delta positions in Apple today. But pretty small notional value. They're selling calls and also selling puts. The orange line, notional value negative, and net for the day, the blue line is positive, so they are selling puts, selling calls. So selling premium ahead of the earnings tomorrow, earnings report tomorrow. All right, so options traders right now have leveled off. Let's go back to Bookmap. There's NASDAQ. Let's go to the ES. Back to the 420 level. Looks like some larger traders are coming in now with iceberg orders. That's shown by this icon here. Also the rising light blue line. Iceberg orders are what large traders use to hide their size. I think this is the most muted reaction that I have seen after an FOMC announcement in quite a while. So it looks like everything came in according to expectations. Certainly the Fed leaving rates unchanged. So the move going forward will be dependent on the press conference at 2:30 p.m. Eastern time, and that's when I will stop my webinar at 2:30. Back to NASDAQ, more of the same. Let's take a look at Tesla. Tesla's really been beat up lately. So Tesla consolidating right around the just above the 200 level. Let's see what options traders have been doing in Tesla. Pretty choppy in Tesla, up and down. 200 is the key gamma strike in the hedge wall for Tesla. All right, RT asks, are Spotgamma levels set after market close, or does it get updated for the day's activity first thing in the morning before market open? All right, so the Spotgamma levels are based on gamma weighted open interest, and Spotgamma applies their own algorithms to that information. So that is based on open interest that comes out once a day, sometime during the night. So Spotgamma subscribers need to wait until the morning to see the new Spotgamma levels, but they do not change during the day. So the Spotgamma levels, by the time I sit down on my computer and I'm ready to start my preparation for the day, they're available in a couple of different points. And certainly I look at this. This is the AM Founders Note with often always a very good narrative, what to expect, what has changed, what was important, what happened yesterday, as well as the levels. So these levels are available in the morning. Let's see when this AM Founders Note came out, 7:40 a.m. So typically, again, when I sit down anywhere from 8 to 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time to begin my preparation, that information is available. It does not change during the day. Certainly, open interest does change during the day, but it is only updated once daily, and Spotgamma uses that information overnight to show these levels in the morning. All right, RT asks, is call wall, put wall, hedge walls for today? Will they be different at market open for stocks? Well, each instrument has its own level. So this is showing in the Spotgamma AM Founders Note, the S&P 500, NASDAQ, and Russell 2000. It's showing those Spotgamma levels and all this other information. The information for stocks, that's also available. Here in Equity Hub. Oops. So if I wanted to see the Spotgamma levels for Tesla, for example, here they are. Those are the key daily levels for Tesla for today. I can also see the history of the levels, how they've changed for the last 10 days. So what this is showing is the levels have held steady for at least the last couple days. Oops. Key gamma strike at 200. So those are all the key daily levels that have held steady for Tesla. And these may or may not change until tomorrow. They may or may not change. All right, so Tesla, the put wall is at 195, and we'll know tomorrow where the put wall is. All right, traders continue to take. You're welcome. RT, you're welcome. Obi says, thanks Doug for the stream. Obi, you're welcome as well. Traders continue to take positive delta positions in the S&P 500. Let's go back to Bookmap. All right, so just a reminder for RT and everyone else, the data that I look at in my preparation, all that Spotgamma data is static. It changes once a day. It's updated early in the morning, available for your preparation of the morning. And then the information that I'm looking at in Bookmap and in Spotgamma Hero is real-time data. Real-time order flow in Bookmap, and real-time market maker hedging flow in Spotgamma Hero. So that's exactly what I talk about in my introduction. 2 parts to my analysis: positional analysis based on static data, and then the execution part based on real-time data. All right, I'm going to wrap it up. I want to thank everyone for watching. Thank you for your questions and comments. And I'll let everyone get ready for the press conference that begins in about 30 seconds. So thank you very much for watching. Thanks for your questions and comments, and I will see you tomorrow. We'll take a look at the aftermath of the press conference tomorrow. Thanks again. Bye.